Hola, mi amiga. This is from Maria. Another one. They're going to murder another person. And this is so hard. I shared that link with you on your Facebook page. I lived in Kerr County. When, I remember it being referred to as the Devil Ranch, but they're calling it the Slave Ranch. This family owned a ranch. A lot of people have ranches up there. That's what it's known for. Either cattle ranches, goat ranches, dude ranches, exotic game ranches. You know, one of the ranches I worked on next door was an exotic game ranch. You see a freaking giraffe, the head of a giraffe go by, over the live oak and mesquite. It's kind of freaky because you're in Texas. You shouldn't be seeing that in Texas. But anyway, this family owned a house in Ingram. I live right outside of Ingram. I live to the west side of Ingram. I remember going by their house. I just wanted to see. I heard all these things about this family. I heard the rumors. I lived there. I talked to people. I listened to people. It wasn't just on the TV and radio that I heard things. I heard from people because I lived there. I freaking lived there. And I went by their house in Ingram. There were like two subdivisions in Ingram, and they were both very, very small. Ingram back then didn't amount to much. And I was thinking, I was thinking, well, it must be some freaky kind of looking house or something. Nope, just normal people. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't think any different if you saw them walking down the street. And they murdered how many people? I don't care who it was that they murdered. Yes, they murdered people. They shouldn't be killed for it. Yet you have this young man who's about to be murdered by the state of Texas who doesn't freaking understand what's going on. Yet this family kills how many people? In cold blood? I mean, they torture them? And when I lived there, this is what happened. While they were on trial, they got to live at home. When they were appealing their case, they got to live at home. Yet this young man who has schizophrenia, I am so glad I don't live in Texas anymore. I am so glad I don't live in Texas anymore. I never lived in Texas. I survived in Texas. I hated that place. From day one, I hated that place. I'm from España. The other day, we were in the market, in the grocery store, and I asked this gentleman because he had an accent where he's from Colombia. Oh, I'm from España. But I don't speak Spanish anymore. Yeah, I mean, okay, in Spain back in those days, the Guardia Civil, they just shoot people. They didn't have to have a death penalty in Spain. They just shot you on the street. I am so glad that here in New Hampshire, people are not murder crazy. We have one person on death row, and nobody seems too eager to kill him. I would like to see him get off death row. I'd like to see death row eliminated so we don't have to concern ourselves with that. But, this young man who's about to be murdered by the state of Texas, has schizophrenia, he goes into court dressed like a cowboy, all these other stuff, yet this other family kills how many people, tortures and murders them, and they don't even get, what, but a few years in prison? That makes absolutely no sense. I'm not real fond of the EU, the European Union. I think each country should be independent, truly free and independent. But I do like the fact that the EU does not have the death penalty. In order to be a EU country, you cannot practice the death penalty. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad Spain has changed so much since I grew up, from the time I grew up. You know, Franco's gone. If there is anybody I'm glad is dead, it's Franco. Okay? Believe it or not, I'm actually glad Franco's dead. I just wish he would have reformed or something before he died, but you know that didn't happen. But and the United States propped Franco up. You know that, right? Franco would not have remained in power if it were not for the United States and England. But I don't know. I just so frustrating. It's frustrating.